Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 12 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a Q&A. Now, this is where I take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the week, and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. A couple of things, if you've never seen one of the Q&As on my channel before. First of all, I don't read these questions beforehand. What you're getting is my raw, spontaneous opinion on stuff. If there's a question that I don't know the answer to, or a question that I think could be kind of form the basis of a longer video, I'll let you know, and that video will drop a couple of weeks later. And I film these normally on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, normally in the morning. Today I'm filming it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday, which means if you want to guarantee to get your questions answered even, make sure you ask them by sort of the Monday or the Tuesday morning at the latest. If I miss your question, I'm ever so sorry. It's not intentional. If you ask it again underneath this video, I promise you I'll get to it. One more thing, thank you for all your continued support on this channel. I really appreciate it. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be making these videos, so thank you very much. And as long as you keep watching, I'll keep making them. But without further ado, let's get on to this week's Q&A. So the first question is by David Moore Magician. And David Moore Magician says, "Hi Craig, thanks for all the great videos. You're welcome. Just wondered if you've ever owned or performed ShoeIt, an amazing signed card to shoe effect that came out about 20 years ago. The card isn't folded, it appears full size in your shoe. I just recently repaired mine and started performing it again. Always gets great reactions and not hard to do as the gimmick makes it very easily. Wondering what you think of it, etc." Yeah, I remember ShoeIt. It was marketed through JB Magic, and it was a really clever gimmick that basically allowed you to show that a card was in your shoe, and then as you took it out, it would switch for a card in palm. Very clever, very ingenious method. I did try it out at a few gigs, and I don't know if I've got overly sweaty feet, but my problem with the gimmick was the card that was in there, after about half an hour of walking around, it got like really manked up, and it didn't look like the card that was switched in. And so the illusion wasn't as good. And I don't know if it's just because I've got very sweaty feet. I was like kind of doing it over the summer from memory. It was a long time ago. So it was something that I tried, but ultimately I couldn't get it to work for me. And also I had, and still do, a routine called Superman, which I talked on the Q&A about a few weeks ago, which is a signed card to spectators' shoe. And that, if I'm going to do one trick where a card goes into the shoe, that's the one that I do, because I think it's more impactful going into the spectator's shoe than going into your shoe. So those two things put together meant that I didn't really do it. However, I did think it was very clever. It was a very ingenious way. And it's the sort of thing that if it came out again now, with the right trailer, people would just buy it 7 ways Sunday, because it's a great trick. A card, signed card, ends up in your shoe. I mean, how cool is that? But no, I never really did it. I tried it a couple of times, just didn't work out for me. Okay, so the next question is from Sean, Multi-Magician, and Sean says, just a thought. What would your thoughts be on using David Regal's disposable deck with chop? After doing a card routine, the deck becomes paper, rolls up into a ball, and then you get a cup to do a chop cup with. Unsure if you'd be using a coffee cup or something else. What are your thoughts? Really clever idea. I mean, what you're thinking here is how to transition from one routine to the other. And this is the sort of thing that I could see working really well in a competition act, because in a competition act especially, that transition is so important. And you know, just doing a really cool card routine and then scrunching the deck up and then taking a cup and going into a cup and ball routine is great. If you guys watching this don't know what the disposable deck is, it's by David Regal, and you get a bunch of gimmicks. It's you use one every time you perform it, and basically at the end of a card routine you can take the deck of cards and just ball it up and throw it away. Sean's idea of using it for chop is a really great idea. The only negative is you don't have that Bill in Lemon finale, or that Bill to Impossible location finale, because you wouldn't screw up the deck and then unscrew it to get them to sign it. So you've got that really cool you've got that really cool transition from your card routine to your cup routine, but how would you end the cup? What would you do? I mean, and that's something that you might want to consider. I mean, how would you do that? I mean, as from the audience's point of view, you scrunched a deck of cards up into a paper ball, which you're using to do this routine. Maybe you produce a deck of cards from underneath the cup, and the finale is they all go back to how they're meant to be, a deck of cards. That might be a really interesting thing. Or, you know, how do you make the ending of the routine when you haven't got a build to impossible location. But yeah, I think it's a really smart idea. I'd love to know if you try it out and what your thoughts are on it and how it goes in the real world. But yeah, if you're doing a set and you're wanting to string some routines together, I think it's a really good idea. Okay, so the next question is from Willie Chen, and Willie says, "Hey Craig, it's me again. As of this moment, when we find out the devastating and shocking news of Scott Alexander's passing, I know much of your show is inspired from Scott's material as much as mine. So I guess as a little tribute to him, my question to you is, how was your reaction when finding out Scott had passed? Perhaps maybe making a tribute video about him as well. Personally wishing I could have met him in person. Very sad, and much condolences to his family and all the magic community who are hurt by this. He was taken too soon." He was taken too soon. And I talked about this on the Magic podcast with Lloyd Barnes this week. So me and Lloyd chatted about how it's going to be a huge loss to the magic community. Scott, and I've openly said this, is one of my favourite magicians of all time. He's the perfect comedy magician as far as I'm concerned. He was so super creative. There's so many routines of his that I use in my professional act. I mentioned this on the podcast, but last week, me and Ryland were part of a show that Slightly Unusual put on, big theatre show. And Ryland closed the show, and there was a lot of magicians on the bill. And one of the routines that Ryland did was egg bag, and actually did Scott Alexander's egg bag routine. And a lot of magicians were coming up to Ryland afterwards saying, "Oh, that's the best egg bag routine I've ever seen. That's the best egg bag routine I've ever seen." And Ryland was like, "Hey, it's Scott Alexander's routine. It's brilliant." Little did we know that the next day, we'd find out the news that Scott Alexander is no longer with us. It's terrible. It really is. I am going to be doing a tribute video for him. If people don't know Scott's body of work, please go and watch the interview I did with him on Magic TV. If you just type in Talk Magic Scott Alexander, I did an interview with him last year, and it's a great interview that just, he talks about his thinking and his approach to magic, and just, yeah, how to. I'm finding it really difficult to do this. Yeah, look, Scott is amazing. I find it very difficult to say. I was only chatting with him over Messenger just a few days before about something that he was doing for me. Yeah, it's shocking. It really is. The magic community will never be the same again. It's tragic. Okay, so the next question is from Arm1E, and the question is, "Hi Craig, loving the videos. Thank you very much. Keep them coming. My question is, which of the Ryan Fleece rubber bands best match the gimmick for hard stretch? I need to buy more for the trick, as mine have now given up the ghost, but I don't know if I should be getting the Hansen Chen blue or the Michael Weber dark blue. I'm not 100% sure. I know that the guys at Alakazam used the Rubenstein rubber bands to put the package together, so they will know. What I'd suggest you do is use the online chat, which is monitored by Wayne Goodman, and if he doesn't know the answer, he would be able to go and speak to the guys at Alakazam and get that answer for you. I think it's the Weber dark blue, the Michael Weber dark blue. I think that's the one that they've gone for, the Michael Weber dark blue, but I could be wrong. So rather than like me not guessing, but rather than taking my opinion, just contact Alakazam. They'll be able to tell you 100%. Okay, so the next question is from Seth Howard, and Seth says, "Is the play on words with deceit intentional in EDCeight, or was it happy accidents? Such a good name either way. Can't wait to get mine." Yeah, it was Lloyd Barnes that named the trick, and he was so happy with it. I remember we were at the shoot, and he said, "What's the name of the trick?" And I said, "I don't know. I've just been thinking of it as the receipt trick." And he sat there for about 10 minutes, and then he just said, "I've got it." And he came up with EDCeight, which is perfect because obviously it is an everyday carry, EDC. And receipt, obviously, and deceit, because that's what we're doing, we're deceiving the audience. So I think it's the perfect name for a trick. I really do. So thanks to Lloyd for making for naming the trick. But yeah, he had deceit in mind when he put it all together. Okay, so the next question is from Sticky, and Sticky said, "What would you say is the best trick that teaches sleight of hand and can play to a large audience?" And I would say it would be Sponge Balls. I think Sponge Balls plays to a massive audience. I think that you can do. There's so many different sponge ball routines. The classic sponge ball routine will play to a big audience. I have a routine on the Netrix that's designed to play to big audiences. You look at something like the Everlasting Sponge Balls routine, which got marketed a couple of years ago. That will play for big audiences. And obviously, to do any of this, you have to be able to learn how to vanish a ball, palm balls, that sort of thing. So I would say it would be, yeah, I think it would be sponge balls. I'm trying to think of anything else that's even better, but I think sponge balls is your answer. Okay, so the next question is from Just Josh, and Just Josh says, "Hi Craig, quick question for you. As a magician just starting to do paid gigs, I don't really have many photos or videos of my performances. Should I wait to build a website until after I have a little more social proof gathered, or should I go ahead and make one and use the generic magic-related stock photos until I get more content?" I would say that if you're going out and getting paid gigs, I would have a website as soon as possible, because if you haven't got a website, you don't really have a home for your business online. You know, the thing about having a Facebook page, for example, or an Instagram page is they're great in one way, in that social media is so important to any business. But if Facebook shut down tomorrow, you would lose your Facebook page. You would lose everything on that Facebook page, including the reviews. Same with Instagram, same with YouTube, same with absolutely anything. But if you've got your own website, you have control of that website. It's your space on the internet. It's a little bit like, deciding to open up a shop and not actually having a shop to open up in. You need that shop, right, in order to have your business. So I'd say set up shop as soon as possible. And then, at least then you've got somewhere to put the photos and the videos that you're going to be getting. Add photos and add videos over time. And yes, there's nothing better than performance videos and performance photos. Those are the best type of photos, and you should be able to get those very easily, especially if you team up with a photographer. But as for the generic magic stock photos, I wouldn't do that. I'd hire a photographer and get a professional photo shoot done. And I'd have some really nice, interesting photos at that photo shoot that you can put over your website. And then what I'd do is I'd have some photos that you've taken yourself that really encapsulate the type of magic you do. So for example, if you're a close-up magician and you do a lot of coin magic, it might be a picture of a close-up mat with 4 coins on it or something like that. And take the photos yourself. Don't use generic stock photos, and use those photos. And then as you're getting better photos from gigs, add those in. The general rule of thumb, I tend to go for an 80-20 rule, which means that when people are on a website, 80% of the photos need to be showing them having a great time. 80% of the photos need to be of spectators losing their minds, because what you're doing is you're painting pictures and you're saying to people, hey, this is what your guests could be like if they book me. And 20% are pictures of you or whatever it is that you want to include. Now that's going to happen over time, but initially build the website, get some nice photos from a photographer, and start with there and then replace them as you go on. Okay, so the next question is from Stuart Elthridge. And hey, Stuart, I hope you're well, mate. Stuart says, "Hey, Craig, awesome video as always. Thank you, buddy. What are you most excited for at Blackpool this year? And do you have any top tips for things not to miss in terms of lectures or dealer stands that will have exciting launches?" By the way, EDCeight is on order, and I love how you've dealt with that whole situation. Thanks very much. Appreciate it on every level. Yeah, I'm doing a Blackpool. I'm not going to answer this question, and the reason I'm not going to answer this question is because I'm doing a Blackpool Survivors Guide. In fact, I'm filming this on Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? Yeah, I'm filming this on the Wednesday. Straight after this, I'm filming that Blackpool Survivors Guide, and I think we're putting it up on Friday. So by the time you watch this, the Blackpool Survivors Guide is probably going to be online already. So go back and look at that. It's I'm going to be talking about the most important things that you need to do if you're going to the Blackpool Magic Convention. So look out for that. That's going to be dropping on Friday. But in terms of what am I most excited about, Lloyd Barnes, never lectured before, never going to lecture again. One-off lecture, I think is going to be incredible, opening the whole event. I'm excited about the seeing Ryland in the Bear Pit. I'm so excited about seeing Ryland in the Bear Pit. I'm excited about Eric Chen's lecture. I think Eric Chen and Eric Tate's lecture. And then some of the stuff that the dealers are going to have. I've been privy to some of the stuff that's getting released, and there's some incredible material that is going to be brought out over the course of the next, over the course of the 3 days. So there's a lot to look forward to. But go and look at my Blackpool Survivors Guide, which went out on Friday, fingers crossed, and that should answer all your questions. Okay, so the next question is from Magic Man, and Magic Man says, "Hi Craig, EDCeight seems very reasonably priced considering what you get. Once you've taken into account production costs, how do you decide the final price and therefore how much profit to add? I've bought tricks that I'd happily pay more for, and equally tricks I felt were massively overpriced. Thanks." I don't really have anything to do with that. That gets dictated by the company I'm working for. So if I'm working for Murphy's, they'll have an idea in mind of how much they want to price it. Same as if I'm working for Alakazam, same if I'm working for Penguin. They typically, now they sometimes take my lead on things or they'll ask for my advice. Typically, as a rule, I try to tell them to keep it as low as possible. I don't know what their costs are, and obviously I understand that the companies that I'm working for are a business, and therefore they have to run their business like a business. And because they have to run their business like a business, I understand that, there's going to be costs incurred that I'm probably not even privy to. There's going to be costs incurred that I'm not even aware of. But I tend to leave that stuff to the actual people I'm working for. And it very much depends as well. So, for example, if I'm dealing with Murphy's, they will price it. There's no middleman, so to speak. If I'm going to Murphy's, okay, if I was working with, let's say, Vanishing Ink, for example. Yeah, Vanishing Ink have their own database of people that they market to. But ultimately what will happen is Vanishing Ink will put their stuff into Murphy's, and then Murphy's will take a cut, and then we'll sell it to the dealers. So by going directly to a Murphy's, I'm cutting out that middleman. So the cost can be lower on the product, I would imagine. Same as Penguin. Penguin don't wholesale their stuff into Murphy's either. Neither does Alakazam. None of them wholesale their stuff into Murphy's. So I think that there's that aspect to consider as well, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, I don't really set the prices. I know what you mean about some tricks seem very cheap and you could have happily paid more for them. I wanted to over-deliver. And what I mean by that is all of the artists that have contributed ideas to EDCeight, it's not like they've been paid anything. They've done it because I've asked them. I went and got the material that they needed myself. There's not been any extra costs that have been associated with that. It's just I wanted to make this an all-encompassing project. So that sort of thing probably doesn't really affect the overall price at the end of the day. So yeah, I suppose it's a case-by-case basis. And obviously, you've got to take production costs and everything into consideration. Okay, so the next question is from Phil K77. And Phil K77 says, "Can you please recommend some decent manipulation balls that come in various colours? Many thanks." Yeah, I'd recommend the Bond Lee manipulation balls. If you just go on to anywhere like Vanishing Ink or Penguin or Murphy's or any Alakazam, anywhere like that, type in Bond Lee and they're going to come up. You're going to have 1.7 inches and 2 inches, and they come in tons of different colours. I've got a purple set, which is why I've got a purple multiplying ball there, because I use it as a production thing in a close-up gig. Ryland does the multiplying balls in almost every single show now. He uses yellow ones, but he practices with green and blue ones. They've got tons of different colours, and they really pop under the lights as well on stage. So I'd go for Bond Lee. To give you a frame of reference, Ryland's hands are quite small. He has the 1.7. My hands are quite big. I tend to go for the 2. Next question again is from Phil K77, and he says, "I can't remember which video it was, but recently you mentioned that by adding small extras to products like extra thread, etc., it can massively increase the cost of a product's production and retail. Bearing this in mind, I know that many people love the new fancy packaging that the magic tricks have, but how much does this add to the cost of the product? For a buyer, I personally chuck all the packaging in the bin as I have no need for it. Take Pro Caps or Andy Nyman's The Moment, for example. Big posh packaging for tiny little props, which for me has gone straight in the bin." I get where you're talking about, and for those people that don't know what Phil meant at the beginning of that, I was talking about how if you've got a trick, for example, and it needs something that you could very easily get hold of, very, very easily, like, I don't know, a little whiteboard that would be 50 pence normally. You could argue that, when you get the trick and it says, "Hey, you're going to need a whiteboard for this, go and get it from here," you could argue that it's going to be, "Oh, why don't you include it? It's only an extra 50p. But if you're producing 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 items and you've got to pay for each one every single time, it can raise the costs of the package up or the product up quite considerably, because now you're having to invest thousands ahead of time in order to include them all in the packaging. In terms of packaging, I get where you're coming from, and I agree. A lot of the time, I tend not to keep the packaging. I do sometimes, so Colour Match, for example, stays in my Colour Match packaging, and I take it to gigs there because I know that that's going to keep it safe. But a lot of the time, I chuck the packaging away. Now, I think the reason it's done, and I haven't spoke to anyone about this, but this is my thought process. I think the reason that it's done is purely and simply because of conventions. So a lot of dealers make a lot of their money from going to conventions. And when you go to a convention, you want people to stop and look at your stand. Not everybody is a Mark Mason, and therefore not everybody could stop everybody else. Because Mark's got this innate ability of just stopping crowds and just getting everyone to hand over money. But not everybody's like Mark Mason. So what you want to do is you want to entice people in. Now, if you've got a stand at a convention and it's just like rubbish little packaging and stuff, and there's just stuff laid all over the table and the packaging doesn't look great, it might not entice people to stop. But then you go by somewhere like Penguin, for example, or Alakazam, and you see all these fancy boxes laid out. Well, then you go, well, hang on a minute, that looks good. Oh, I want to get one of those. That looks wonderful. How much is that? And it kind of just stops and it looks interesting and makes you want to actually ask for it. And honestly, that actually happens. I've seen it. How many times have you been to a magic convention and you've just walked past the stand because the stuff on there doesn't look interesting, and then you walk past another stand and all the stuff on there looks really interesting, and you stop? It might not be that those tricks are anywhere near as good as the tricks that were on the stand where it was just very basic packaging, but it feels better. It's basic retail business. I mean, why in shops things are laid out in a particular way, and packaging is done in a particular way to encourage people to buy it. And it's the same with magic props. So I think that's the reason. No one's actually specifically told me that, but I think that's the reason. And then also, it's nice when you get it through the post and it's a nice box and you open it up. I know Ryland, for example, is obsessed with the packaging. One of the things he looks for, first of all, is the packaging any good? He's just learned Wonder Blocks, which he absolutely loves Wonder Blocks. But he was very disappointed. The packaging was just literally just a little bag with a sheet of cardboard in it that said Wonder Blocks. So I think that's the reason. I think it's probably because of going to conventions, if I had to guess. Okay, so the next question is from Phil, K77 again, and he says, I'm loving the Netrix, but it's mainly card and coin work. I know you've mentioned Chop Cup stuff making an appearance at some point. Any ideas when? Also, great to see more mentalism. Yeah, I'm uploading a ton. Over the next 4 or 5 weeks, we're going to be uploading a ton of non-card, non-coin material. Cups and Balls, Chop Cup are all going to be on there, as well as Rubik's Cube stuff. More mentalism, absolutely more mentalism. There's a ton of stuff that's going on to the Netrix. You got to remember, it's only been up online for about 6 or 7 months, and every day we're changing it and making it better. And the feedback we get from people is wonderful, which is great. But every day we want to improve it. Like, we're just uploading a ton more stuff to the silver level, and for beginners and beginner to pro. So we're just uploading new stuff all the time. Okay, so the next question is, Craig, what do you think is the ultimate closer for a stage show for about 150 people? No illusion price tags, but something for a few hundred or cheaper. I have a bunch, but curious what you think. Thanks for everything. Good question. So I have multiple shows. Let me think. So one of my shows I close with No Brainer, which is by Bill Abbott, and it's a... it's basically you have a envelope that's been hanging in front of the audience in the beginning, and you ask them a series of questions, and then you show that it's all been predicted inside the envelope. It's a little bit like a master prediction system, but nowhere near as expensive, and you don't need a backstage assistant to help you. So I'd say that No Brainer is a fantastic choice. Another great choice, and I've talked about this on videos before, another great choice is Destination Box by John Allen. So Destination Box by John Allen is a fantastic piece of kit. I use it in so many different ways. I love it. It's a beautiful moment of magic. And I have this whole thing I have this whole routine. If you want to see what my routine is, and you want to see No Brainer as well, go and search on Magic TV or on YouTube for how to run an awesome parlor show, and you see a live performance of both of those routines, and I actually break down why they're so good. But Destination Box by John Allen, absolutely. He's going to have some of them at Blackpool, and also at No Brainer. Ryland's show, he's got a couple of closers depending. One closer he's got his colour match, where he actually takes his clothes off and he's got another set of clothes underneath. That's a nice routine to finish with, because that feels like a final thing, and he's doing it all to music, hit my music, and he's pulling all the clothes off and everything. So that's a really good one. Colour match makes a great closer, plays to a really big audience. Another thing that Ryland does to close a different show that he does is cue ball, and he does it all to music. The cue ball, Bonley's cue ball, Ryland used it in his audition at BGT. That's a way that he closes his show quite a lot, and he actually opens with cubes as well, so it's nice to top and tail the performance. So he opens with cubes, he does the Venom cube and the solution and a few one-handed solves and stuff like that, and a toss-up solve, and then at the end of the show he closes with the cue ball. So that's a nice kind of way to actually do it. That works really well. All of those are great closers. I'm trying to think of anything else. The Suit Jacket Escape is a great way to close a show. The Suit Jacket Escape works really well. Dancing Hank, if you've got the whole Dancing Hank kit, there's so much you can do with the Dancing Hank. It's brilliant. My Snowstorm, obviously, is another great way to close a show. Ryland's closed his show with that a few times as well. Wishes 3.0. By the late, great Scott Alexander and Puck. That's a great way to close a show. It's a little bit like Snowstorm. It's Snowstorm mixed with Miser's Dream, but you're actually making bubbles appear instead, and you're throwing bubbles into a bucket. That's really good. So yeah, any of those make a great closer, and they aren't very expensive. Okay, so the next question is from Adrian Suter, and Adrian says, "Hi Craig, I have a question on EDCeight that's not about the drama, but about the trick. Is there a possibility or future plans to adapt it to languages other than English?" I'm not sure. That's a Murphy's question. However, on the project, we actually give you the files. We give you the Photoshop files so that you can actually create your own EDCeits for your own. You can create your own receipts for your own country. And Pete Turner actually goes through how you go into a shop, and you can actually make the receipts using shops that are local to you as well. So you don't need to use the receipts that are provided, although the receipts that are provided are made out of Tyvek and therefore will last a very long time. But if you don't want to use those receipts, there are other options as well. Okay, so the next question is from Ryan Maybe, and Ryan says, "Thanks again, Craig. Always looking forward to these Q&As. That Superman trick sounds amazing. I'd love to see it on the Netrix. We'll make it happen. Do you have a person you show a new trick to before you perform it to a real audience, or do you go straight from practicing a new trick to yourself to performing it in front of real spectators? I'm a little worried that I'll give the trick away and ruin it for other performers if I don't get it right." No, I do. A lot of the time, I'll perform it to other people before I perform it to real people. Always Ryland. Anything new that comes out or anything new that I'm working on, it'll be Ryland I perform it for first. I'll also perform it to Thea, my daughter. I'll also perform it to Sarah, my wife. And then when it's past the wife and the daughter and the son test, then I'll take it into the office, and I'll perform it to people like Reagan and Liz and Matt and Michael and Jack and Kay and so on and so forth. So I'll perform it to those guys, and I'll get their reaction from it. So I've got a lot of people that I can perform it for. Then I've got magicians that I can perform it for to get their reaction as well. People like Lloyd Barnes, people like Nemeth Phoenix, people like Wayne Goodman, people like Peter Nardi, people who I can trust and I can show it to, and I know that they're going to get, they're gonna really give me their honest opinion. Okay, so the next question is Willie Chen, and Willie says, "Hi there, Craig. I'm a bit curious to know how you go about packing and bringing your equipment when you go to do your shows. Of course, I don't mean just your magic props, but as well your sound system and tables. If I'm not mistaken, I think I remember you saying you don't drive. Correct? I don't. Same here, and I find that the most difficult thing is carrying everything you need to a gig. Question is, how do you carry all the things you need for your show, other than calling an Uber as a last resort? Perhaps do a separate video about this." Yeah, I'm more than happy to do a separate video about this. Absolutely not a problem at all. in terms, but I'll briefly answer it now. So you're right, I don't drive. I do have a like catching trains. I'm a big train fan. It's one of the only places that I can just switch off and just listen to a podcast or something. I really like trains. So a lot of the time, if I'm doing a close-up job, I'll catch a train there and back, and you know that's my favorite option. Love catching trains. If it's a late night, I'll probably organize that the contract comes with a hotel room overnight, as I'm finishing late and I'm nowhere near where I live. But yeah, I'll catch trains an awful lot. If it's a close-up job, I'll catch trains. If it's a cabaret show, and it's just me doing the cabaret show or a parlor show or something, I will insist. Well, if it's a parlor show, it's not a problem. If it's like less than 20 people, I don't need a sound system or anything like that. But if it's a cabaret show, or if it's a decent amount of people, my rider will insist that I have a PA system there on site that I can plug my mic into, and I have a technical rider I can send them with what my mic is and what sort of slots I'm going to need on the PA system. So that's in my rider, and normally for bigger shows, that's not a problem. That would just be accepted anyway. When I'm doing an illusion show, obviously we're going in a van, and one of the people I'm going with will drive the van. That's part of their job, so they will drive the van to the gig while I'm there in the van, not driving. If it's local, let's say I'm doing a kid show or something and it's a local show, I'll get a lift. You know, a lot of the time Sarah will give me a lift, or give me a lift there and back. If it's not too far, I don't mind catching a taxi. I'm going to charge enough to actually cover a taxi anyway, so that's not a problem really. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I can do a longer video about this for sure, but it's just about being organized. That's the thing, just about being organized and you knowing what you need to do before you actually get to the day. Next question is from Sean McNulty Magician. Will there be a good stock of EDCeights at Blackpool? I'm not too sure how many are left. I know I have 50 winging their way towards me, and they will be there by Blackpool. So I'll probably have 50 of them. I don't know how many are left in the world. I know it's been selling really well, and Murphy's already talked to me about getting another run of them. So I don't know how many people will have or won't have. I know I'm going to have a few of them with me, but not that many. I am going to have a stand there, so we'll have some EDCeights on the stand. But in terms of how many, I'm not too sure. So the next question again is from Sean McNulty Magician. Sean says, I have a question. Have you checked out Defaced by Martin Breassas? It's out with Penguin Magic. Unsure to get that or Imagine by Alakazam. Looking for a new gaff deck. Yeah, I've seen it. It's good. I think we filmed a review for it for an upcoming review show. It's a decent method. It's not bad at all. It would work. I prefer Imagine by Peter and Harry Nardi at Alakazam, and in my review with Ryland, we talk about why we actually prefer Imagine to Defaced, and you know there's pros and cons of each one. There's pros and cons of each one, but you have to compare them because there's a very similar ending to both of them, right? But I think that Imagine pips it. But if you watch my review show, you'll see why. Okay, so the next question is from D Durkin 11, and D Durkin says, "Hi Craig, please bring back the chapter markers on these type of shows with various topics." Yeah, unfortunately for a couple of weeks we were behind. We had staff shortages, and it was just either get the Q&A up or not. There wasn't time to do chapter markers, but we're back to full force now. So this one that you're seeing right now should have chapter markers, and anyone's moving forward will. It's just it takes a long time to do all the chapter markers. It can take forever, to be perfectly honest, and when you produce the amount of content that we do, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult, but we are going to be making sure that they're there for future. Okay, so the next question is from Junior Rodriguez, and Junior says, per magic camps, let me elaborate. I live in Pennsylvania. Well, I used to work at the Performing Arts and Sports Center in Magic. There's Performing Arts and Camp Island Lake Performing Arts and Sports in Storuca in the Poconos in Pennsylvania. So yeah, I know Pennsylvania. I live in Pennsylvania. I was wanting some info on offering a 2-week magic class to kids where I could get a curriculum or blueprint on teaching magic to kids. A lot of schools and colleges offer science camps, robotics camps, culinary camps for kids, and I'm wanting to offer a magic class. Thanks in advance. Martin Duffy does this, I think. He definitely does a course on speaking in schools or something. Martin Duffy, school magician. Martin Duffy. Ah, there you go. Perfect. There you go. So Martin Duffy has a website called schoolworkshops.com. Schoolworkshops.com. There you go. School Workshops is the largest directory of school workshop providers in the UK. There you go. Right, let's have a look. I'm sure he teaches all of this stuff as well. I'm sure he teaches all of this stuff. This might be his actual website. I'm not too sure. Click on magic and see what happens. There's a ton of magic workshops here. No, this is an inquiry form. Links to us. Not too sure. Add a listing. I know it's not really helping much. I think I would reach out to Martin Duffy, because Martin Duffy he teaches magic workshops. Here we go. Got it. So that was his website where people can inquire to book a magic workshop. But I've just found his website. It's martinduffyMagicShop.com. martinduffyMagicShop.com. And he's got in there school show lecture notes. It's £15, and you can get them instantly as a PDF by the looks of it here. My first lecture was 240 delegates at the UK's largest children's entertainer convention. It was called Magic in Schools, and it was on the topic of opening up performing opportunities by adding educational themes to your magic show. Since then, I went to lecture on at Blackpool. These notes are 48 pages and go into far more detail than I could in any lecture. Full routines and patter for anti-bullying, environmental show opener, math show opener for key stage 1 and 2, math show ideas, okay, as well as key stage explanations, the opportunity, why educational magic shows are so popular, why schools should pay, creating a topic, creating new tricks, what I'd like to... Okay, there's a lot of information in here. Yeah, so there you go. I think, as well as educational magic, I'm sure he goes into about... Yeah, so he's got booking blueprints here. I don't know what that is. Quick view. Booking blueprints. I'm not too sure. 24 karat template to an unexplored income stream. Okay, I don't know. I would contact Martin Duffy. He definitely does school magic workshops. So there's an email address on there. Just go to martinduffyMagicShop.com. There's a phone number. There's an email address. Tell him Craig sent you. And that's where I would start, because he's more knowledgeable about this sort of stuff than anybody else. Okay, so the next question is from Jonah Berg, and Jonah says, what is your favorite Joshua J trick? Ooh, so many. You know, I was talking to Josh about this at the session, and I said that one trick that I really loved that I saw him perform many, many years ago, it was in his book Magic Atlas, was his remote control trick. He had a trick with a remote control, and the spectator pressed the remote control, and as they did that, various different things happened to the card that they picked. It was a brilliant premise, and at the end, the card vanished and appeared inside the battery compartment for the remote control. Really great trick back in the day. Loved it. That was what I performed that for many, many years. Outside of that, balance, I think, is my favorite thing that he's brought out in recent years. I think that balance is exceptional. Josh just has this ability of making anything magical, and anything he brings out is well thought out and well scripted and will always sell well, because it's just super commercial. But yeah, for me, balance and the remote. Okay, so another question from Jonah Berg. What are the very best card to impossible location tricks out there? Good question. Paper clipped is amazing. I think that's a great card to impossible location. Card under watch is a really great card to impossible location. Destination box, I think, is probably my favorite. Destination box for me is the perfect stage and close-up trick, and it's not just a card. It can be anything. It can be a ring, it can be a coin, it can be anything. outside of that, the Vision box is really good. That's by Miranda. The see-through box, I mean, any version of it is really good. I remember the Clarity box by David Regal, which was kind of one of the first that went down the route of doing this sort of stuff. Clarity box was great. After the Clarity box, John Allen's is great, David Penn's is great, so many different. Fob by David Penn is criminally underrated. You've got a fob on your keys, you put your keys on your table, it's empty, a card is picked, it vanishes. There's now a card inside the fob, and when you take it out, it's the spectator selected card. They unfold it, it's the spectator selected card. That's just really strong. One of my favorites that I used to do when I wore a tie, I don't really wear a tie now when I'm performing, but when I did this thing where I had a tie, and you know you've got like the clip at the back where you tuck the tie in. I took a folded card and put it underneath that clip. So the folded card goes right there underneath that clip, so you can walk around and the folded card's there whenever you need it. And then to perform the routine, you have the card picked, signed, lost, Mercury card folded, all that fun stuff. And then you come in and you lift up and you show the card there. And this hand's here with the palmed card, and you drop your hand, you drop the tie over your hand, which then comes forward with the palmed card, and you give it them. So it's kind of like an impromptu mystery box that's hanging around your neck, and the retention of vision, the burn on it was brilliant. So yeah, there's another one that you can do. So the next question is from Mike Tyson by TKO, and Mike Tyson says, Craig, my brother, thanks for all you do. You're more than welcome. Quick question, for your review show with Ryland, would you entertain adding prices for each trick to your reviews? I think this would be a great addition if possible. Thanks as always. Yeah, I mean, I've never done that. And the reason is I'm hyper aware that different people live in different countries. And so me saying X amount of dollars wouldn't mean anything really to somebody in this country or this country. And it's a very easy thing to Google. If you see a review and you like it, and you Google it and go, okay, it's this much. It's a very easy thing to do. But yeah, I can include it. I mean, we do talk about when we think things are very expensive or very cheap. So we can, we can talk about it. Absolutely. I'll speak to Ryland. I'll make sure that we do that more often in the reviews. Okay. Okay. So the next question is from Noodles, and Noodles says, when are you going to do a video on Ryland's close-up case? I'm doing that very, very soon. Actually, it's going to be the first video that comes out after Blackpool. So if you want to see a video on Ryland's close-up case, then that's going to be dropping after Blackpool right here on Magic TV. Okay, so the next question is from Andrew Wiggin, and Andrew says, there's a bar I'm a regular at, and the bartender always asks me to perform for people who haven't seen me before. It's fun and a great chance to try new stuff. No matter what I do, he always wants me to do the ambitious card. I do an ACAN where they shuffle, deal, and turn over the last card themselves. I do Call to the Colours, Voodoo, Out of This World, The Reformation. I do some pretty big hitters, technically advanced card work, and boundary pushing that I know they haven't seen before. But the only trick that the bartender wants is the ambitious card routine. I'm not complaining, and it isn't, and this isn't a rant, but I'm very curious. I know the ambitious card routine is one of those tricks that everyone does and has stood the test of time. And I'm beginning to understand why, but I was curious as to your take on this phenomenon. I think the reason is it's a very simple trick to follow. The card goes into the middle of the deck and it comes to the top. It's a very simple trick to follow. Lay people understand that when you put a card into the middle of the deck, and it shouldn't come to the top. So when you snap your fingers and it comes to the top with no movements or no motions, it's a very shocking moment. It's also one of those routines where you can build. And a lot of the time, spectators have heard of that expression, never repeat a trick, never repeat a trick. And you can build that into this presentation. Hey, I'm going to do it again for you. And then you do it again and again. And each time it becomes more and more impossible. And each time it builds and each time it gets better. Well, this time it came to the deck face up. This time it floated out the deck, whatever it may be. It always builds. So I think that's part of the reason. I think a lot of the other routines that you talked about, or any other routines, they're not as simple and direct as the ambitious card. There's a lot of dealing procedure. Even something like the Reformation, there's a lot of stuff happening before the magic happens. If you think about it, there's a lot of ripping up and there's a lot of explaining, and they've got to sign a card, then you've got to take it, then you've got to rip it up slowly, then you've got to rip it up, then you're taking it and you put it back together, and it's an amazing trick. But it's a while before anything happens. Whilst with an ambitious card, it's very simply a case of pick a card, put it in the middle, boom, it's come to the top. So I think that you get into it quickly. It's very easy for people to follow, and it's repeatable, so you can build on it, and each step becomes more and more impressive. I'd say that's probably the main reason why. Okay, so the next question is from Army Dude, and Army says, Craig, question. You mentioned you're going to upload your routine for the N9 coin set. Do all levels of Netrix subscribers get access to this upload? Yes, anyone who's bronze level and above will get that routine when it's uploaded. Thanks for all you're doing to Magic, Mike, Maryland. Yeah, Mike, it's anything that goes up that's a trick will go up to all levels, because that's the bronze level. The bronze level is access to the tricks, some of the theory, that sort of thing, but it's tricks. You got all the tricks. Silver level, the benefits are, obviously you've got the virtual magic clubs, which happen weekly, and you've got all the extra material on business and leveling up as a beginner to expert. So there's a lot more stuff there, a hell of a lot more content, and we're adding to it all the time. But you've got the virtual magic clubs and so on and so forth as well. And the gold level, obviously, they get me, which is exciting. But yeah, the bronze level will get it, no problem. Okay, so the next question is from Jack Ranga Walsh Magic. Jack says, hi Craig, I'd like to include the classic gag of asking someone if they know what the word is, then revealing the word no. However, when I performed it for numerous people, the majority of them said what they thought the word was, not if they had any idea what it was. What would you do in that situation, and what would you say when performing this gag? I think, first of all, being clear is very, very important. This is a gag that I do actually do, so be clear. So how I tend to do it is a bit of a psychic test. So I say, hey, I've got a prediction here. You can see it's a prediction because it's got a question mark on it. Now, I can only do this if I'm psychically in touch with you. On the other side of this envelope, there is not a question mark, there is a word. It could be any word in the English language. Be honest, tell the truth. Do you have any idea what the word is? Now, that whole statement there, be honest, tell the truth. Do you have any idea what the word is? You're not saying to them, hey, there's a word on the envelope. Do you know what the word is? Because then they might guess it. But if you say, hey, I've got another word, I've got a word on the other side of this envelope, be honest, tell the truth. Do you have any idea what the word is? They'll say no 99 times out of 100. If they, in answer to your question, if they don't, and it has happened, if they say something like banana, all I do is I play it like this, and this fits my character. It might not fit yours. It fits my character. I say banana. That's the word you're going for, banana. And then I have a conversation with the guy, almost like it's a one-on-one conversation, but in reality, it's a conversation for the whole of the audience. So I just turn around to the guy and I say, look, on the other side of this, I've got the word no. So when I say to you, do you have any idea what the word is? You say no, I turn it around and I show the word no, and then everybody thinks I'm really, really funny and really, really clever, and I get a big, huge, massive round of applause. It's my fault. I should have given you the script before I got you up on stage. Let's try that again, because I don't think anybody noticed. And I kind of go down the route of, hey, I don't think anybody noticed, right? So, which is hilarious, because obviously everybody did notice. Everybody heard the conversation I was having with them. And it becomes even funnier. I'm explaining the gag that didn't hit. And then I go, so let's try this again, shall we? We've not prepared anything, but here we go. There's a word on the other side of this envelope. Do you have any idea what the word is? And they go, no. And I go, no! And it gets an even bigger round of applause because of the setup that's got to that point in the first place, if that kind of makes sense. So that's what I do. That's what I do. First of all, be more clear about it when you're asking the question. But then secondly, if it does go wrong, just make a joke of it. Okay, so the next question is from Gary Davis. And Gary says, thanks very much for all you do for the Magic community. It's much appreciated, no problem. Could you show us your work on Imagine and the Quantum deck as one project, please? Thanks and stay well. Regards. Yeah, that'd make a really good video, wouldn't it? Take the Quantum deck, take Imagine, and show how I put it together. I can even get some live performance footage for you. I actually do it on stage a lot. Hi Craig, this is one-off unrelated to today's topics. I really enjoyed X and Celebs, which you performed before Christmas. I'd like to learn them. Are they available on the Netrix somewhere? I'm a Netrix bronze member. Thanks. I think X is on there. No, it's not. No, it's not. Neither of them on there. I'll upload them for the next upload. X and Celebs. You want them? I'll make sure they're on there for the next upload. No problem. Yes. That was a side question from Alistair McDonald, who replied to Gary Davis. So you got like multiple questions in one here. So yeah, I'll get those uploaded for the next thing because that's easy to do, no problem. Gary Davis, those are the two tricks of the Mirage deck, so no problem. Gary Davis, could you show us your work on the Quantum deck? Yes, I will put together a hows and whys of the Quantum deck. I think that'd be really fun because since I released it a year ago, I've got a ton more work on it. So I'll do a hows and whys on the Quantum deck, and I'll include how you can actually combine it, not just with Imagine, but with other decks as well, because I combine it with quite a few different decks. So I'll do that for you. It's going to be after Blackpool now, Gary, but I will get onto that as well. No problem. Okay, so the next question is from Jonah Berg, and Jonah says, can you buy more tricks from Jay Sankey's website and do another review, please? Yes, it's about time I put another order in with Jay, so I'll go and spend some more money on Jay, and I'll get me another review show. Give me a few weeks. It's got to come from Canada over to me, so give me a few weeks, and I'll get it winged over to me. No problem. Okay, so the next question is from Mike Tyson by TKO, and he says, Craig, can we get a performance of your colour match routines in the tutorial? Javier did a nice job of presenting your ideas, but I'd really like to see them presented firsthand from you. Yeah, absolutely. I could do like a hows and whys of colour match, and I could take all of my routines and put some performances in there of them so you can see everything that's going on. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. I will get on to work with that straight after that. And the final question today is from Rudy Gutierrez, and Rudy says, question for a future Q&A. I cannot find any information on the difference between the U-Box, which I have two of, and the Boombox that I have not purchased. No one seems to be mentioning U-Box in the comparisons. There's so little information about it in general unless you own it and have access to the tutorials. I've been very pleased with many aspects of the U-Box. Can you please provide a comparison of the two? No, I can't, because I never have a U-Box. I can get one and I can answer the question. I can get a U-Box, but I haven't got one, so I can't compare the U-Box to the Boom. All I can tell you is the Boombox is brilliant. Love the Boombox. Had a great time with the Boombox. Use it all the time, but the U-Box, I have no idea what that is. So yeah, leave it with me. I'll get a U-Box and then I'll be able to answer the question, but it might be a few weeks until it gets to me. Hope that helps. So there you go, guys. That's another Q&A in the bag, as Ryland would say. Thank you once again for joining me right here on Magic TV. Now, I'm going to be back again next Sunday with another Q&A. I'm going to be back again this evening with a review show special, all on EDCeight. That's right, it's a review show special, all on EDCeight. And if you haven't noticed, over the course of the next few days and over the previous few days, I've got interviews with dealers and producers talking about all of the tricks that they're going to have at Blackpool. So I'm super excited about you guys seeing all of those. Make sure you keep checking in. They're coming up every single evening. If you're at Blackpool and you want to come over and say hi, I would love to chat to you. I'm always a little bit busy at Blackpool running around, but I've always got time for everybody. So if you want to come over and hang out, that would be absolutely amazing. But guys, thank you once again for joining me here on Magic TV on the Q&A. You want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, and don't forget, I'm going to be back again next week with another Q&A. And if you haven't already done so and you want to join the Netrix, please go to www.thenetrix.com. That's www.thenetrix.com. I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. My name's Craig from Magic TV.